this digital revolution. And I compare it to a swimming pool because it means that if digital is a swimming pool, we spend the entire first half of this digital in the shallow end of the pool. And we're getting to the point where our feet are beginning to realize it's curving downwards. But there is no guarantee we will actually survive in the deep end of the digital pool. And if you really want to understand digital natives, I don't think you have to look at the now. You have to look at their world in the end, in the limit, and see where that is heading. And what I've done is I've looked at a couple of limits. One of the limits, and there's an interesting book by Chris Anderson called Free, and he says the limit of price is zero. Everything is free. Gmail is free. Technology should be free. Wi-Fi should be free. You know? I see this with my kids. I go to a hotel, I go to the lobby of the hotel, I have free Wi-Fi, and I say, hey, wow, free Wi-Fi. Yeah, I'm excited about free Wi-Fi. I take my kids to a hotel. It's the Four Seasons. They go to the lobby. There's no free Wi-Fi. They say, what a dump, you know? There's no free Wi-Fi. That's a totally different behavior pattern. Privacy was mentioned. That's interesting. My statement is privacy is evolving in the limit of the new normal to a fishbowl society, complete transparency. I have a naive privacy feeling. Young kids come to us, apply for a job, we Google them, we find pictures on Facebook that are quite revealing. You know, pictures that if my mother would ever seen a picture of me under those circumstances, she wouldn't have survived the cardiac arrest. But for them, it's all out in the open. Privacy is completely rethought in the new normal, and it goes to a complete transparency. One of the most popular iPhone apps today is an iPhone app in the US called Are They Really Single? You meet somebody in a bar, they go to the bathroom, you take out your iPhone, you take your first and last name and zip code. By the time that person comes back from the bathroom, you know everything about this person. Married, not married, married before, paying alimony, on time, children, you know, parking tickets, every possible information. Of course, they went to the bathroom, did the same thing, so it's complete transparency when you meet each other. But the new normal, we have to rethink privacy. I don't want to make a political statement, but if I see the people who are in the Privacy Commission in this country, where the average age is probably well over 70, you know, where you can't say boo too much because you would kill half of the Privacy Commission, and I'm exaggerating here, I think maybe we have to rethink what we do with digital natives. The limit of patience is very simple. Patience of users goes to 1. They want to fill in information once and never again. Digital natives are quickly annoyed because they do not want to repeat something that they have already provided. And I'm going to come to a subject which I find fascinating, which is information. This is one of my big buzzes in life. And I have two statements. The first is the limit of length goes to 0. And what I mean by that is the amount of information that digital natives want to ingest voluntarily goes to 0. And even with us. You know, I graduated and I wrote a thesis, which was 132 pages long, and I got 17 and a half. And in my university, there was a perfect correlation between the number of pages and your grade. That's how we work. Huh? I started working at Alcatel. I wrote memos. My first memo was 17 pages long. I thought that's what you needed to do. And my boss said, that's not what we do. You know? A memo is never longer than a page. Then email came along. I now have a very simple rule. I never read an email if I have to scroll. It's too much. It's too much. I started twittering a year ago. A tweet is 140 characters. That's about the amount of information at this moment I still want to ingest. Now, if you extrapolate that, it goes to 0. That's not good. At the same time, the limit of depth goes to infinity, because if people want to find information, they want to drill down and zoom in and find it in more detail than you can ever provide. Let me give you an example. I know nothing about Chinese pottery. Nothing. You guys go and have a coffee. You come back in 2 minutes. I'll look on Wikipedia. I'll be an expert on Chinese pottery in the 7th dynasty. I'll do a lecture on Chinese pottery with pictures. Because I can now zoom in and drill down if I want. But voluntarily, it goes to 0. If I look at information, this is, as I said, a big buzz of mine. I've been studying information and how we deal with information for a very long time. I think we are doing it completely wrong. I have a thing called folder fetishism. This is a disease. It's a fetishism. I look at your folders. I'm a voyeur of your folders. If I visit your company, I don't want to see the cafeteria. I don't want to see the coffee machine. I want to see your file server. I'm a file server voyeur. And I have collected some wonderful folders over the last 15 years. I once found a company with a folder which name said, "Please don't delete, please, please." This company was very serious about archiving. I found a company and had a folder which was called temp folder _ version 7. This company was very serious about version control. I actually found a folder once on a shared drive at a company, and the folder was called, "We found this stuff on Fred's hard drive when he left." Yeah? Which meant, they were very serious about knowledge management in this company. At a multinational company, I once found a folder, "Crap from headquarters that we have to keep." I'm not going to name the company. My favorite in my collection is this one, a folder which said, "Delete this folder when the auditors come in." And I'm not joking here. But what I mean is the way we have been looking at IT, did we focus on information? No. We focused on technology. We gave our people bigger and bigger file servers, and bigger storage systems, and bigger environments. But we didn't focus on information. But at the digital natives, we will have to focus on information and not on technology any longer. I have a number of these limits, but I have a limited amount of time. What I've been doing lately is I've been finishing this in the book, and the book is called The New Normal. I've also started to think about what are the rules. What are the rules that we will have to live with? And I'll give you two. The first rule is once we enter the new normal and work with digital natives, there will be what I call a zero tolerance for digital failure. And this is very difficult for us IT people. I'll give you an example. Gmail. I love Gmail. Gmail was down last year for 3 hours. For 3 hours, millions of people could not access their email. This was a catastrophe. No. Gmail was down for 3 hours. It was headline news on CNN. Yeah? That means it's at the same level as an Iraq and Palestine. Yeah? Gmail is down. It was headline news on CNN because it was down for 3 hours. This is unacceptable. They didn't mention that it had been up for 8 years. No. And today, I know quite a lot of IT people that if they would have systems that only go down 3 hours and are up for 8 years, they'd be sipping champagne every single night. Yeah? But in the new normal, there is a zero tolerance for digital failure. I see this with my kids. I go to a website that doesn't work. I say, well, I'll go back tomorrow. No. My kids go to a website that doesn't work. They think, oops, vies, I'm never coming back. Because it doesn't work. Must be, something hacked in Romania or something. This is very strange behavior. I visited a newspaper yesterday, and I showed them this. The Standard was down for about 8 hours a couple of weeks ago. Well, in the new normal, that is unacceptable behavior. And it's very strange because we IT people know how difficult it is to keep them up all this time. But in the new normal, your digital natives will not accept digital failure. I have a second rule, though, and the second rule is it doesn't have to be perfect. We call this the era of good enough technology. And this is interesting because there again, speed is better than perfection. Velocity trumps perfection. The second rule is good enough technology. I love Skype. I like the phone better, but I love Skype. I don't want Skype to fail, that's the first rule, but Skype is good enough technology. Last year I had my first Skype birthday. I was in the US, my family was here. It was actually quite a nice birthday. But Skype was good enough technology at that moment. MP3 is good enough technology. Netbooks are good enough technology. Gmail is good enough technology. And one of my favorites, flip cameras are good enough technology. And one of my favorites is Blu-ray. Who has a Blu-ray player? Who has a